On today's episode, we are going to be doing our little roundtable situation. Today's episode of the Investing RN podcast. We got a roundtable coming with, we got to be careful because our boss is here, Josh. So just be on your best behavior. But Josh recently came back from a GoBundance conference and he's all hyped up with it on it. And he's got some pearls of wisdom that he'd like to share just from some of the notes he took. So Josh is going to do a special reading for us here to kick things off.
Yes, that should be good.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for this? Ignore the context because there is none. Okay.
So these are notes that he took from this conference. This tribe of millionaires.
AI, don't stop believing. I'm the goodest at taking notes. What else do I have? Mike/VA.
As a person, maybe.
Do not remember where that came from. 40,000 subs on YouTube. Thumbs up.
Did you drop the thumb?
Yeah. What else do I have on here? $500 million foreclosure. That actually happened in somewhere in Texas. I want to say Houston.
Didn't write the location.
Just a fact, random.
There was a $500 million property foreclosure, which is in addition to the one that was 200 something million late last year.
And this is helpful to us because
How is any of this helpful to us? This is somebody important said it and I wrote it down. Core values: align, family, circle, 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 business right underneath.
okay.
All right, that's about all the gold and knowledge that I have from today. What's up with you guys?
So that was 3 days with very successful multiple multimillionaires. That's about what Josh got.
I made a video of it. There was over $1 billion of net worth in that room, and I accounted for like negative part of that.
And you really capitalized on the notes and what you could bring back to us. Thank you.
I was going there to network and meet people, and I did that. And I will remember their faces, and someday I'll put their name with their face.
So for this very reason, we have decided that if there's ever... So Jen and I have our daughter, and sometimes childcare is an issue as we're going to meetings and conferences. So my note-taking skills are slightly better than Josh's. Usually there's a little more context to them. Like I'll write the speaker's name at the top at least before I take random notes, but not much better.
I did that once.
Yeah. But for this very reason, we are not allowed to go. Josh and I are usually not allowed to go to conferences together unless they're primarily networking events. But if there's any information being shared, it's gotten to the point now where it's Jen first, and then if one of us can attend, we're there. But if
to network,
yeah.
Colin O'Brady, he was the keynote speaker. I wrote his name. This was the one page where I wrote the speaker's name. Anyway, so he had a really good speech. If you guys don't know who he is, you should go follow him because he does some wild things. Should I go through the list of 5 bullet points that he gave me?
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Or should I save this towards the end?
Well, let's save that towards the end. Maybe that's all right. Maybe we can leave people with that as a closing thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So today
that would be good actually.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by All Day Investments. If you would like to get your start in real estate investing, but don't want to deal with toilets or tenants, we have several new opportunities that might interest you. Head over to alldayinvestments.co/invest or follow the link in our show notes to book a call with our team.
So today we are joined, as we mentioned, by our CEO and boss, Jennifer
The same person as
Davis.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Welcome. So we're going to talk about where we're at in the business, what's going on. I mean, we could talk about market stuff, but there's a lot going on just within our own business. It's kind of doesn't have anything to do with the markets. So we could just talk about that.
Yeah, I think we've been somewhat alluding to just sharing a little bit of what we're doing and how things are evolving. So this might be a good time to just talk about, what we're up to. Have we done that before?
We did that once.
There's a chance.
But I mean, a lot's happened since then.
Okay.
We've dropped 25 episodes on the podcast at the time of this recording, which is huge, since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
In roundtable format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the plan was to do this more regularly. However, just timing and stuff has been tough. But we would like to get on and kind of bring everyone in more on what we're doing and who we are and why we, I don't want to say are relevant because we're not really relevant, but we're trying to be. I guess we're relevant. We're doing stuff.
We can be. We're just helping out our past selves is what our goal is.
Was that a note you took from some conference?
That one's up here.
That's all
Came up with that all by myself.
It's all original. So I guess what's happened since we last spoke? We've closed on another mobile home park, which was a creative finance deal. So I guess maybe Josh can run us through the details of that one real quick.
Okay, so that one is it's about 45 minutes from where I live. It's a 24 pad mobile home park, 23 currently occupied. Are we doing like purchase price and like how much do we want to go through?
Yeah, I'd say just like purchase price, when we found it, how we found it, and then like how we ended up closing on it.
Found it in I want to say so. Colin found it in February based off of his cold caller finding it for him, and then.
No, that one was me actually.
Right? Oh, you called? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I'll talk about the kind of acquisition strategy, and then Josh can talk about the deal structure. So at the time, it was February of 2023. We were in a mastermind group, and it's like the cool piece about mastermind groups is the accountability, because during one of the mastermind calls, there were some challenges thrown out, and I was supposed to make 25 cold calls in a week. And one of these 25 cold calls that I made landed us this deal. So this was in February. It was off a list of mobile home parks we'd gotten, skip traced them, cold called them. And at this time, I was like doing all the skip tracing and everything myself. It was a very slow process, which is why 25 in 1 week seemed like a lot. Since then, we've refined our process. We're like hiring skip tracing, we're buying lists, and we're using cold callers like VAs. And that has increased the amount of cold calling we can do and helped our deal flow significantly. But at this time, I was doing it myself just with Google searches. Found this park, called on it. The guy I think the park I was actually calling on was a bigger park that he was not interested in selling. We just kind of got to talking. And then I think through podcasts and stuff like that, I've always heard like, always ask if there's anything else, even if whatever you're calling about is a no. And so that's what I did. I just, towards the end, I was like, well, hey, is there anything else you might be interested in selling? And sure enough, he was like, well, there is this one park and it's farther from the rest of our portfolio, so it's a little harder to manage. He was like, so I might be interested in that one. Well, that turned into what? It was like, I guess it was like 6 or 7 months of back and forth, just trying to negotiate.
5 months.
Yeah, well, it was August, right? So that would be 6 months.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was in July that we finally came to an agreement.
No, it was August 25th. So it was like probably slightly over 6 months of back and forth with the seller, just negotiating exactly what the structure of the deal would be. So after 6 months, what we came up with was...
So we bought the park for $825,000. I guess there was not an issue, but it was like a lot of back and forth. Like he wanted a higher price than we could pay, and then like there's a lot of technical terms like seller carrying, which I don't know how much we want to get into here, but there's seller carry and then some other stuff. And he ended up just staying on as a partner, which actually worked. Everybody always talks about like figure out a win-win for the buyer and the seller, which a lot of times that's hard to do. But in this case, we actually were able to figure it out based off of 6 months of negotiating and going back and forth. And he could clearly see that we could be creative, and we were willing to do whatever it takes to get this done. And basically, so $825,000 is purchase price. He's staying on as a 24.1% partner. Why not 25? I don't know. 24.1 works.
That's what I was wondering too, as I've heard these numbers.
It was based off the him staying in at like 200,000. So he held like 200,000 in the deal, and so that's how we determined the equity amount, percentage.
So there's the lot rents for this were way under rented. The area should be. Well, are we saying this too? Why not? Okay, so the lot rents were like $250 at the time, and they should be like $350, maybe even pushing $400. It's a really decent area, strong area. So we knew that just based on getting the rents where they needed to be, the value of the park is going to be about 25% higher. And so our goal is to refinance the park within 3 to 5 years and cash them out. And he kept going back to like, what's the downside risk? What's the upside potential? What's the downside risk? So upside potential is if the park appraises at a huge number, and then we cash them out at 24.1% of the current value of whatever appraisal we get. Downside. What am I trying to say?
I feel like that was
upside potential, downside risk.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
So downside risk is the $200,000 that he's remaining in the deal. The minimum that he will get from that is a 6% return based on that $200,000. So there's downside risk, upside potential. Worst case scenario, we just have to come up with that and pay him off in 5 years, which is not a problem because it will just make it not a problem.
Because we're just good with the numbers.
Because we're good for it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, we underwrote it conservatively, and we know that based off of just where it should be, the value is going to be about 25% higher than it currently is within 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and so like the downside risk essentially for him is like that we run the park into the ground, and now it's worth less than he sold it to us for. So now his 200,000 is only worth, let's say, 100. So the way we mitigated that risk for him was by giving him that like guaranteed, I think it was 6% over however many years. So he's guaranteed to make at least like, I think it's like $60-something thousand on his essentially investment over 3 to 5 years. So that sweetened the deal for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I'm sure he would have said no to. And I feel like I've said this on a previous podcast, but the only reason we were able to negotiate this deal is because he saw that we had owned mobile home parks in the past and we were running them successfully. And he saw that we had been in the game and that we knew what we were talking about when we pitched this idea to him. So that's kind of like the value of just getting in the game, just get started, because once you're in the game and other people see that, a lot more creativity can happen.
Yeah. So that park's cruising right now. And actually, once all this back and forth and negotiating and all that is done, then the real work begins, which is where Jenn steps in. But since we've and I'm still involved with it, and I will actually say, like, just full transparency. So we ended up having a long close on this one, and I think we've talked about that on other podcasts, if not our own. But issues with the bank. Thankfully, it was a bank that the seller had recommended, so that whatever issues we were having, I don't want to say they were on him, but like he was a lot more understanding since he had recommended this bank. But in the meantime, while we were waiting to close, we got this like used mobile home that came up from a local dealer. So we like jumped on it and we're like, oh, this is great. There's one empty pad in this park. We're going to throw this home in there. Like we looked like rock stars because we've already got a home lined up before we closed on the park. Well, and this is on me because I'm kind of handling operations at this point, but I was going through the process of getting the electric pedestal and the gas and all that stuff inspected. And then talking to the local inspector, he goes, yeah, so this home is less than 20 years old, right? And I was like, what? And turns out it is not less than 20 years old.
I know that.
And so now we've got this mobile home that we've put a deposit down on that we can't put in this park. And like I said, so definitely, as we're going, we're learning. And it's like, now we know, okay, this is now going into our process and procedures for new homes. It's like, okay, step one, or not step one, but one of the steps as we're taking over is like calling the town, finding out what their rules and regulations are, because it's different town by town. So something we're learning as we go. Thankfully, we have 2 other mobile home parks, so we can kind of shift and throw that in another park, and we'll be okay. But yeah, I mean, it could potentially be a costly mistake if you're not accounting for that. So we were supposed to be full at 24. We're not. But in the meantime, Jenn, with the assistance of her trusty VAs, has been working on leases and rent raises and all that.
Transferring all the contracts for the vendors and getting that all in the system, making sure, we have clean and tidy P&Ls to deliver. And yeah, I'm definitely we've done a few of these mobile home park transitions, but this one was a little bit different because we are working with the owner still. So we're making sure that the relation is good and that we're doing a good job managing. Because we're still working with the previous owner. So it's important to make sure that everything is operating in an organized way. But as we're doing this, like Colin has mentioned, we are still learning things on each deal. And because we're doing creative stuff, each deal looks a little bit different. Even to the taking it over might be a little bit different. So we're definitely writing the processes as we're going.
Yeah. I think we talked about that earlier too. Like every deal that we've gotten, I think we've acquired it a little bit differently than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
We haven't done the same thing twice yet.
Yeah. I know, because now we have 2 more under contract, and they're both different
new
deals.
Also,
they're different deals than we've done before. So it'll be 5 parks with all different deal structures.
Yeah.
But the one thing that's cool is by keeping the seller on, it's like she was mentioning the vendors that they have and all these things. It's he's an equity partner, so it's a little different than even our first park that's a seller carry, where it's the guy's still got money in the deal, but he doesn't benefit necessarily from the park doing any better. He's getting his money regardless, and that's a fixed amount. But in this deal, the actual owner is invested in the deal. So it's he wants everything to go well. So if we're asking questions, they're happy to help. They're happy to work with us and do everything we need, which has been awesome to have this person who's familiar with the park working with us. One of the things, I guess you could talk about the trash contract and how Francie found that.
Yeah. So I am trying to build up a little bit of a assistant team with virtual assistants. And that has been definitely life-changing for me in the property management, because we're managing quite a few individual units now. And even though the mobile home tenants, it's not necessarily incredibly frequent complaints, it still is a lot to come to one person. So I now have a couple VAs that I'm working with, and they're kind of filtering through the inquiries and whatever whatever problem we're dealing with at the park. And actually in this transition, the owner, she gives me a list of her contracts that she's using. And as I'm going through each one, our trash service that, picks up the trash each week seemed pretty expensive. And I'm still, familiar, not incredibly familiar. So I'm bouncing stuff off of Colin. I'm does this seem right? This seems super expensive. And the owner was yeah, I mean, you probably could look for a different vendor because they just randomly increase their prices and they don't really tell you about it. And so that's something I just shot over to my assistant. I'm hey, can you find us a new contract? I was it just needs to be in whatever radius of the zip code that we're at. And within 2 days, she's hey, I found this really great contract. And I sent it over to Colin to review. Everything looks good. And we're in several $100s less per month. So then that's we're already increasing.
Kind of. So trash contract. So it's all the garbage expenses are passed through to the tenant. So it's just a wash. It's we don't make any money off it. We don't lose any money off it. But we just came in, and like Josh was mentioning, this park was, under rent pretty significantly. So we came in with a decent rent raise, which obviously people aren't going to be happy about. But by finding a new trash service, we're going to save the tenants. I think it's only like, $10 a month or something like that on the trash fees that they're paying. So, their net raise is less by doing that. Morale goes up, which is nice. You want people to be happy. And so it's like, and it shows that we're, because if you're just passing through the expenses, you could just sit there and be like, well, it's, $500, but who cares? We're not paying for it. But, we want to look out for the tenants and do what's best for them. And
also, I think that's a legal thing. I don't think we can charge them, right?
Well, right. But what I'm saying is,
we can't charge them more than we're actually paying for utilities.
No, we can't. Yeah, we can't like just upcharge for utilities just to make extra money. But the point being is like, it doesn't affect us one way or the other. We could keep paying $600 a month because the tenants are paying for it. But like in an effort to do right by the tenants as well, like we found this new contract, which is going to save them money each month, which, like I said, just kind of helps with the overall morale and shows that, hey, like we're not just these people coming in trying to make money off you. Like we actually care about doing what's right by you guys, even if we don't benefit from it. So it's good, and it's the same service and everything. So that was a cool thing to do or to find, I guess. But it was from a VA, which is even better because it didn't really take any time.
It took no time, yeah, just to type in the request, the task.
Yeah.
That's something that like leverage is somewhat easy to understand in like real estate purchasing and all that stuff, but like leveraging other people's time also, that's another thing as a business owner that's new and exciting.
Yeah, especially when you have so many different tasks and just stuff you have to get done every single day. It's at some point you're like, I can't handle all this, or you just completely lost your joy of life if you're not getting help, which I was close to for a little while. Yes, definitely speaking from experience.
But yeah, like the power of leveraging VAs. Yeah, it's like, and that was like going back to your notes, Mike /VA. It's like,
I'm sure, yeah.
forward slash.
Yeah, it's like clear you were like thinking the same thing. So we're all on the same page, which is what helps us progress as a business.
Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for figuring that out, Jennifer.
Yeah, no problem.
So that was
Joshua.
That was our most recent acquisition. Since then, what do we got going on?
We got our trusty chief operations officer,
I don't know.
COO and deal flow head of deal flow, Colin Davis, has come across 2 new parks.
Co-founder and
what other titles can we throw in there? RN,
BSN. Yeah. I used to like
ACLS,
putting like a
BLS.
2013 flu vaccine recipient.
No, that was a lie.
Oh, actually, I never got that. I just wore the mask.
We're realizing that we can give ourselves whatever titles we want, and it's kind of fun.
It is fun.
Jennifer loves that.
It's really fun.
Yeah. That was my favorite thing in the email chains, was just to see how many certifications I could add to my emails. So we found 2 new ones. These 2 were actually both on market deals, and one of them we're just doing like a straight up traditional financing offer. The numbers are good. We like it. It's something we actually looked at a year ago. So
we actually had an accepted LOI on it. It was not official under contract, but he had accepted our LOI.
Yeah. And we actually had a purchase agreement and hired a lawyer to go through the purchase agreement. So that cost us like $600, wasn't it?
Yes, that as Colin continues to cough. Yeah, we had this deal is in Michigan, and it was our first time dealing. It was our first time venturing outside of Wisconsin. So we hired a Michigan-based lawyer to take a look at it. And as he was saying, cost us $600. Back to you, Colin.
Yeah. So we paid $600 for this man. And he went through the purchase agreement, and for whatever reason, we just didn't have a good feeling about it. And so we denied. We did not proceed with the purchase agreement. But fast forward a year later, the park was still for sale, and we got it for, I think, $70,000 less than we had it under contract for the year before. And essentially, it's the exact same deal, except in the meantime, he went and spent like 30 or 40 grand paving roads, which, like, prior to mobile home parks, I had no idea what it cost to pave a road. I was just like, yeah, you throw down a little asphalt, whatever, it's cheap. But it is not. So overall, the park is probably worth or we probably saved about $100,000 just by waiting for no real good reason other than we just thought that was, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and we've bought 2 new parks since then also, so we're like ready to keep charging forward.
Yeah.
I know this was at the time, this would have been like by far our largest property, and there's always some jitters when you keep sizing up a little bit.
Yeah. But in the meantime, he's been operating and stabilizing it. So now we're taking over an even better park, essentially. And the guy's he's pretty sharp. He's done a lot of interesting things, and I've learned a lot just in the communications back and forth with him. And I think that's like a good lesson.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't the first time this deal was going under negotiations, Josh? Weren't you handling that one? And you had some bad feelings and maybe not just getting along so well with the seller?
I don't know what you want to call it. I'm gonna probably call it the wrong thing, but my BS meter,
call it something that sounds better,
was ringing. All right. My BS meter was ringing every time I talked to this guy.
Questioned you.
And it's like he questioned me.
Say less,
I don't know,
less.
Don't you dare.
Even though
I have no idea what I'm doing, but don't question me. Well, there was that, and also I don't know, he's one of the people that's very long-winded, and I'm a very straight to the point, typically kind of a person, and that if you can tell me something in 2 minutes, don't take 12 minutes to tell me. Please just get to the point. Unless I'm talking with Colin, then drag it out as long as you want to.
Oh, and I will.
And so I don't know. I guess my attitude was probably in the wrong place when I was talking to him last. And I guess I don't know. I didn't tolerate. That's not the right way to say it, but I didn't push for a good deal that Colin was able to do.
Well, and since then we've kind of all figured out that maybe the door opening conversations are much better handled with Colin, since he's actually very good and natural at that. And then you can come in when it's more transactional.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I think,
and we figured that out by doing these intermetrics personality tests or whatever
which
you
has
want to call
been
them.
probably the most helpful for our business and getting things straightened out a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not a door opener.
Yeah. Well, and the whole right person in the right seat. And I think you two, Jen and Josh, are a lot more similar in that way of cut to the point, just let's get this over with. And I'm, and it's good because for me, I'll talk and talk and talk and have an hour-long conversation and never get to all right, so how much you want for this thing? Or maybe I will, but it's it takes that long. And sometimes that's what these sellers need. This guy is an older man, very knowledgeable, and he likes to just talk about everything he knows. And I'm in my mind, I'm thinking okay, well, I can learn from this guy, and I'm taking notes the whole time, Mike /VA, but yeah, I mean, taking notes and just trying to learn from him and letting him just kind of go through the motions that make him more comfortable and build that relationship. But then it gets to a certain point where it does become transactional, and it's that's where having a good partner helps out, because it's at some point it's are we doing this or not? And that's where you guys come in. So it's been, I think more and more you and Josh and I are figuring out. For a long time we said we didn't really complement each other well, but I think more recently we've been finding out how we complement each other, and that we're not exactly the same, and that we actually do have opposite strengths and weaknesses. So that's been good.
Yep. And so we thank Colin for getting this deal, saving us $100,000 on this deal, just by
and Josh as well for the
sifting through all of the BS.
Right. Which ended up maybe not being that, and more just
I think part of what he was questioning about us a year ago was whether or not we were experienced enough to take down a deal like this. And
apparently I was not good at making him feel like we had done this before.
We're putting off the vibes.
I don't know that a year ago I would have been either, because I wasn't nearly as confident a year ago as I am now, with just a year of experience actually operating mobile home parks. So, and we're still learning every day, but like we've learned a lot just in 1 year of doing, or another year of doing this. So we're coming at it from a much different position now. As little as we know about investing, we know less about nursing. Well, and that's a good segue. So now, right now, Jen and I are actually exploring the idea of going back to nursing.
Ooh. No, we did not.
So how was last Thursday, Jennifer? How did that work out for you?
I'm going to be very careful with what I say, as I may have coworkers that find this podcast at some point.
They might be listening.
They might. We never know. Yeah. So actually today I accepted a job offer. So.
Oh, news to me.
Brand new information.
Brand new information.
Investing RN exclusive.
Is this the lab of the
catheters? Yes, the lab of the catheters. Somewhere there's cardiac in there as well. Yeah, so I'm going to cath lab. I figured it'd be just a good time to start a brand new, field of nursing.
But I will say, like, so I think back to like not doing well with like these long and winded interactions, like that personality also translates into nursing, which is why Jen maybe didn't have as good a time in ER as I have in ER, because there's a lot of like interactions, whereas like Josh puts people to sleep when he meets them.
It's so nice. You're like, what was your name? I don't really care.
What did you say about your life? As I push the propofol.
Yeah. So me going into cath lab, I'm going to have a similar, shall I say, interaction or relationship with the patients where it's much more minimal, and I'm going to be working much more closely with like the doctors and nurse team and support staff. But it's a controlled environment, obviously, and I actually went up there and shadowed this last week, and it was good. It was a good thing I shadowed, because I definitely, obviously our uncle, Jonathan, has been in cath lab. So I called him after the fact, but I like have known what cath lab is. Obviously I know what it is.
What?
Obviously I knew, and I applied, and they gave me a call back, and I'm just like, I'm doing so good on my interview, which is also like just shocking for me. And they wanted me to come shadow, because they have had other people in the past that didn't really realize what it was, which is crazy because that would never happen to someone like me.
So be honest. Did you know what cath lab was when you applied?
Yes, I did. I knew that it was a laboratory of
catheters. Did you imagine just putting in Foley's all day when you first applied?
No, I didn't. But when I did go, I was slightly surprised of how operational it was and how it resembled more an operating room instead of a
lab.
Instead of a lab.
Lobotomy lab.
Which I didn't mind. I called Jonathan afterwards and, talked to him about it. But I think it's going to be a really great fit. I'm super pumped about it. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be good. And it was not.
I don't know. Why is that so funny?
Just for the next 4 to 6 months, don't have a heart attack I can't say.
Don't
in
say.
California?
Anywhere
in California?
Nowhere in California. No, I'm going to a really great a great lab. No, everybody there was super, super on it, and it's going to be, I'm going to be the wink link, the weak link. No, I'm definitely going to be on it. I'm going to do so good.
Is it because we had the interview with the CRNA scientist? So the only thing you can think of is laboratories.
Oh,
researching new medications.
Oh, no, it's just my familiarity.
Well, okay, I was gonna say I think also personality wise, in the ER, if there was ever an opportunity to like take somebody to another unit and essentially leave the home unit, like I was always like, I'll go. Whereas Jen would be like, you go. So like I've been to Cath Lab multiple times.
I have been as well. I've heard of it.
She's been several times.
This is clear.
But
No.
But that being said, like I think she's going to do really well in it just because of how she is and likes to be like very detail oriented and likes to be a specialist as opposed to like a
generalist.
Yeah, generalist. Yes. What is it? The master of none?
Yes. I have definitely
master
learned
of
that.
all. Jack of no thing. Jack of all
Jack
things.
of nothing.
That's me.
All the
I'm the Jack of no things. She's gonna be the Jack of one thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, I actually am really
the Jack, not the master of one. She's the Jack of one.
I could be that.
If you know the saying, then like let us know.
Let us know. We can
put it in the comments. Right there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good fit. I'm really excited. So that's the big news. We're both actually going back. I'm going to be a little bit more of a steady for right now. You know, we've taken this time the last couple of years. We've been building the business like we talked about. You know, I've been building out the team a little bit so that I don't have to be quite as in the daily operations. I still am. So, you know, I have 2 months to really get this thing flowing nicely without me, where I can check in the evenings basically when I get home from work. And and now we're going to focus a little bit on establishing ourselves in a new area, since, you know, this is going to require, we didn't mention that either.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this
move,
just because like we're still very much in the beginning phases of this process and it's all happened relatively fast. And so there's a lot of people. I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah, you should. You don't sound well.
There's a lot of people that we haven't even spoken to yet. So yeah, depending on when this comes out, this might be new information for like people. But anyways, it'll be cool. It's exciting and kind of the way we've always done things individually and as a couple. So
I think this is set to air end of February.
Okay, so people will probably know by then.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It should be fine.
It'll be fine. We're fine. We'll quickly tell the people we need to.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, this is definitely how we operate. We talk about something and we're like, should we do it? Should we do it? Yeah. And then we just do it.
Yeah.
We should do it. And then we just move. Or we, you know, buy a house in real estate. Or that's how we started real estate.
Buy a house in real estate or buy as opposed to the metaverse.
Yes, sure. No, like that's how we started our real estate. We just kind of talked about it and then we just did it.
Yeah.
Or like when we moved to mobile home parks, we talked about it and then we just did it. We don't take a ton of time to think of, well, I don't want to say we don't think things through, but we definitely all operate off of action.
We don't allow
analysis paralysis does not have its place in our house.
We do not allow the analysis to paralysis us.
Yeah. Anyways. So if you guys have made it this far into the interview, give us a subscribe and like and subscribe.
If anybody is still here.
And rate us 5 stars only. If you're gonna anything less, just don't worry about it. We'll take it from here.
Yeah.
But no, like if you guys think we should script our next roundtable, let us know. This one has been winging it.
Well, and I think the cool thing though is like I've been having a hard time with going back to nursing because I feel like to a certain extent it's giving up on like what we've been trying to build outside of nursing. But it's not really to do with like our investing journey as much as it's like our personal lives and what we're able to provide ourselves in our personal lives. But it is a testament to the power of like keeping your license current. And we interviewed Christine Nieva, which I don't know if that'll be out by now. By the time this one interviews, this might not come out yet, but she got into real estate and just like let her license lap, and like more power to her. Like that was awesome. But you know, for a lot of people, it's nice to have this as a backup, and like it's been maybe it's been a bit of like a crutch.
I would say it has been, because we've never been like, okay, we have no other choice, but we have to bring in X amount of money this month. We've never done that to ourselves. We always talk about, oh, if we need to, I'll just pick up another shift, or you go pick something up, or whatever it is.
That being said, it is there, and it's like, we've been out of nursing. I've been out for like 2 years, and I'm hopping in, and I'm like, great hourly rate, great spot. And it's like just having that however many years of experience, it was just like my interview was essentially just like a quick Zoom call, like, hey, you're a human, I'm a human. Okay, yeah, you're cool, you get the job. Like, so it's like,
yeah, that was.
We didn't talk about AI, but that's good time. No, I'm just kidding. Later, that's a later.
You have to
episode.
go back to the notes for that one.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I did do that earlier. AI. Don't stop believing.
Did you want to close with your notes? Did you have bullet points?
Oh, sure. It might not make sense, but these are the 5 bullet points that Colin O'Brady had in his PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Number 1, embrace your ones, because without your ones, you will never have a 10. He said there's a lot of people that just work their 9 to 5 their entire life, and it's like 5, 5, 5. Don't like your job, 5. Don't love your job, 5. Don't hate your job, 5. It's like without your ones, there will never be a 10. Number 2, be your... Oh, man, I can't even read my own handwriting. Be your not. I wish I remember what that stood for. Number 3.
Okay.
Small steps, big gains. And that's kind of more like you just take one step at a time, and then you look behind you and see all the steps you've taken. Kind of like us. Buy one property, and then we turn around, and now we see a studio because we're on a podcast.
Okay.
Number 4, winners lose the most. And he went through and talked about like Steph Curry and Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, whatever. Like all these guys, like winners lose the most, and that's it, and that's it. He's a really good speaker. He said it way better than I'm saying right now.
I can't imagine.
Go hear him speak. Strive to no, that one doesn't really make sense. Well, number 5,
just read it as it's written.
Strive together, thrive together.
Is that what it says?
Yeah, that's my notes. It was really moving. When I wrote this down, it was very moving. His speech was very moving. And Colin O'Brady, so he was one of the first men actually to row across the Drake Passage. That story is ridiculous, crazy. And then he was the first ever human being to walk across Antarctica without assistance. 1,000 miles. And that was a cool story. Yeah, go look him up. Very motivational.
Yeah, and I've been in conferences with Josh, like with very like powerful speakers, and like he won't even touch his pen. And so like if Josh even wrote down this many notes, like this guy was incredible.
This guy was incredible. Yep. And I got a picture with him. Check my Instagram. It's going to go up there in the next few days.
Which will be like 20 days ago by the time this airs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Smooth.
Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway.
We're going to have to figure out this podcast time warp.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you for those parting words.
That's us. Yeah. We'll be back in a few weeks or a month or I don't know.
We'll be back.
We'll be back monthly. We're shooting for monthly. Yeah.
Sounds good. Oh, okay. We'll see you guys.
Okay, namaste.
No.